The Crew is a series that, despite not being very old, has had a busy history, from the illegal street racing theme of the first game, to the more open-ended feel of the second, to the smaller but denser setting of Hawaii and Motorfest. However, there's a Crew game that's been largely forgotten over time, for various reasons, and the game I'm talking about is a mobile game known as The Crew Road Empire. It was developed by Black Sheep Studio, making it the only Crew game not developed by Ubisoft in-house. It was first soft-launched on the iOS App Store in Australia and New Zealand on November 18, 2014, 2 weeks ahead of The Crew 1, which released on December 2nd. Road Empire was likely intended for international release at a later point, but this never happened, and despite sources hinting at a potential Android version, nothing came of that either, leaving this game both exclusive to iOS and exclusive to one specific region of the world up until it was delisted. It was likely these reasons that the game was actually lost for a pretty long time, only being rediscovered in July of this year, so let's see if there's a worthy mobile game behind all of this obscurity. The game starts with a tutorial given by characters from The Crew 1, where you name your crew and get shown how to play. There's no real story though, and this game's relation to the main Crew game doesn't go much deeper than this. And because there was zero chance of directly porting the Crew to 2014 mobile devices, Road Empire isn't really a racing game and more of a hybrid between a management simulator and an autorunner. The main game takes place on a map of the US, and you have a fleet of cars stationed in different cities. You take on contracts to drive people and merchandise between cities to earn either cash or gold. Some passengers will have special requests you need to fulfill in order to get rewards, and some merchandise requires your car to have enough space to transport it. There are various types of cars, both licensed and unlicensed, from the Crew 1, and they all have unique characteristics in speed, fuel capacity, fuel efficiency, and available seats. Driving between cities happens in real time, and whenever a car is in the middle of a trip, you have the option to take control of it, which is where the game turns into an autorunner. In this mode, your car drives automatically and you swipe left or right to change lanes, avoiding traffic cars and picking up cash and gold, as well as nitro boosts, which temporarily speed up your car and give you a time bonus. On top of this, if you stay above a certain speed, you gradually fill a bar at the bottom left, and you get a time bonus for filling it all the way. Filling the bar repeatedly builds up a bonus combo, and the higher the combo is, the higher the time bonuses become. But if you fall below the speed threshold for long enough, you lose the combo. If I'm being completely honest though, this mode gets pretty boring after a while. It's really just swiping back and forth for several minutes, and the difficulty never changes, which leaves it feeling monotonous. After exiting driving mode, you're given a driver's style rating depending on how well you drove, though this doesn't affect the game in any way, and it's also pretty much guaranteed to give you a bad score if your trip is too short, for whatever reason. Some routes between cities are off-road and driving on them will lower your car's speed, but you can get around this by using an off-road type car, which isn't affected by terrain. You can also install tuning kits to improve certain aspects of your cars, and assign specialists to different cities for similar improvements, but on specific areas of the map. Each car and city has one slot by default, but you can pay gold to get up to 3 slots for individual cars and cities. As you play the game and take on contracts, you get XP, which is used for leveling up. Higher XP levels give you more driver slots and allow you to buy more cities. You can still buy new cars if all your driver slots are filled, but you'll have to swap out one of your existing cars to use a new one. One way to get cash, gold, or expansion cards other than contracts is through achievements, which are synced with iOS Game Center and actually still worked when I was playing, and you can claim achievement rewards with this button at the bottom of the map screen. There's also a button next to it that's covered up with the text "Coming Soon." I'm not sure what this is, but to me this icon looks like 2 swords, so maybe they were planning some kind of multiplayer? I don't know. Random events can occur in cities or on roads that can have either positive or negative effects, and there's no way to get around them other than simply waiting, which can take anywhere from a few hours to a full day. There are actually a lot of cities in this game that don't appear in the Crew 1, although they're probably just here to prevent roads from being too long, and probably weren't planned for the main game. Driving between cities consumes fuel, and some trips will be too long for certain cars to take, while others require you to wait for your fuel to replenish, but you have the option to pay gold and skip the wait time. In fact, there are a bunch of things in this game that you can spend gold on, like skipping trips, buying extra cities or driver slots before you're a high enough level, and there are a lot of cars you can't buy with cash and can only use gold on. And conveniently, you had the option of watching ads to get free gold, or just paying real money for it. Yeah, this is very much a mobile game, if the gameplay itself didn't already show that. Another feature common for mobile games of the time is Facebook integration, which in this game allows you to pick up your Facebook friends as passengers, ask for free fuel without having to pay gold, and invite some of your friends to get a few cars that could otherwise only be bought with gold. Although, according to a video from Touch Gameplay, Facebook integration wasn't actually working when this game first came out.
The Connect to the Facebook is actually broken. According to Facebook, the developer has not authorized the tools, something like that error on this game.
I'm not sure if it was fixed at some point, but this game was last updated 9 years ago, so it's not like I can test it. Speaking of which, the version of this game that was originally found in July was version 1.1.0, while the latest version is 1.3.2 according to the App Store, and that latest version wasn't found until I actually found it myself while making this video. I had already recorded most of my gameplay in the older version, so let's go over some differences between the two. The biggest difference is easily all the new vehicles that were added, including a whole range of sports cars, off-road variants of existing cars, first responder vehicles, and even a school bus. I thought they might have adjusted the gameplay when driving really big vehicles like the school bus or the fire truck, but as far as I can tell, it's the same as with any other vehicle, just a lot easier to crash into things. In driving mode, they added these little animations for whenever you pick up an item, flashing a different color depending on what you picked up. On the map, they added these lock icons to cities you haven't bought yet, and they added timers to the random events so you know when they'll end. They also removed the coming soon button at the bottom right, so they must have scrapped whatever they had planned for that. Now, I've been pretty neutral towards the game up to this point, but I think it's important that I also touch on my personal experience playing it. One version difference that I ran into was that in the older version, the game would crash on startup if I didn't turn on airplane mode, but the newer version opens normally regardless. And strangely enough, when I played this game while connected to the internet, the prices of most things you could buy with cash or gold were significantly lower, with even the best cars available only costing 1 gold, while they would cost 3,000 gold offline. I'm really not sure why this is, but I took advantage of it and bought every type of car available, as well as all the cities I could afford with what I had left. But even then, I still had almost half the map to buy, and leveling up would have needed way too much grinding for XP. I had been playing the game for almost 2 months at this point just for this video, and I didn't care to play anymore, so I just used a cheat engine to give myself a bunch of gold and buy every city. I ended up using over 3 million gold, which is impossibly high for how little you get through normal gameplay, so I don't know if they genuinely expected people to play for this long. And most people didn't, since according to the Game Center leaderboard, I've taken the 15th highest amount of contracts out of all 28,000 people who have ever played this game. I really wish I could say something positive, but the more I played this, the more I felt like I was just wasting my time. This game didn't have much of a reason to exist at all, and I think that's exactly why it failed so badly. The Crew was already a highly anticipated game, and people weren't going to waste their time with a mobile game that played nothing like it. And mobile game fans who wanted a racing game, management simulator, or auto runner already had better options in all of those categories. Road Empire just tries to do too much and does none of it well. Both gameplay modes are boring and repetitive, and there was clearly no thought put into them. This game is a perfect example of a bad mobile adaptation, and that's really all I can say about it. The Crew Road Empire is a neat curiosity in the Crew series, but not much more than that. I'm glad it's available again for preservation's sake, and you can feel free to check it out if you're interested, but I can't think of a genuine reason to recommend playing it. And especially nowadays, by the time you're jailbreaking an old iOS device and sideloading games onto it, you could do a lot better than Road Empire.